of your leading panel discussion program, Talk of the Nation. Hello and welcome to you wherever you may find yourself. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, and as usual, my name is Hilda Basana Munjebo, joined by Nanda Shipahu as our sign language interpreter. Road accidents continue to claim more lives in Namibia, and if this trend continues, we are likely to repeat last year's statistics when the World Health Organization ranked Namibia top in the world for the number of road per death per 100,000 residents. That is, in terms of the number of road deaths per 100,000 residents. But it's not just the road accidents which are a problem. The increase in criminal activities around the country is also a cause for concern. And for this deliberation, I'm joined by players whose daily work is about road safety and crime prevention. They are, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I'd like to introduce to you Deputy Commissioner Sydney Philander of the Criminal Investigation Directorate at NAMPOL. Good evening, sir, and welcome to Talk of the Nation.
Good evening, Hilda.
Secondly, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Eugene Tendekule, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Road Safety Council. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Talk of the Nation.
Good evening. I'm glad to be here.
And then thirdly, I bring you Deputy Commissioner Ralph Ludwig, who is the head of the Traffic Law Enforcement Division in the Namibia Police. Good evening, sir, and welcome to Talk of the Nation.
Good evening, Hilda, and good evening, dear listeners.
Finally, Mr. Sidney Boyce, who is the Senior Manager of Accident and Injury Prevention at the MVA Fund. Good evening, Mr. Boyce.
Good evening.
And I'll start by asking you the very first question. Obviously, Namibians are very keen to find out what just happened the last season that we just came through. What are the statistics and what did our road fatalities look like?
Thank you. I think there are probably three important numbers that we look at after the festive season. At least 54 days this festive season campaign ran. Of the statistics, 112 people perished as a result of road crashes. And then in terms of comparison with the previous year, it shows at least a 15% increase. Now, in terms of percentage to relate to the previous year for injuries and the number of crashes, slight decrease showing at least between 2 and 4% decrease in terms of those numbers. So from the public, those are ordinarily the figures we are looking at, and definitely a trend that shows a devastating trend at this point.
From NAMPOL, I'd like to find out, Deputy Commissioner, what do you think these causes, what is this attributed to? What caused this increase?
Yes, Hilda, you know, we went for one aim, and that's to reduce accidents. And unfortunately, the fatalities went up. The accidents reduced, the injuries reduced, but the fatalities went up. Now,
the loss of human life.
Yeah, the loss of human life, yeah. There, I can ascribe that to, I think it's people, more people on the vehicle.
Overloading? Is that an issue?
We had a few overloaded cases. We have a few of them. But I think this time around, people they want to go with, anyway. And so the car was fully occupied. And if that car is running from the road, get off the road, it's more people that is at risk for, dying or even getting injured.
Tendekule, then obviously this compromises the aim for which your institution exists, which is to manage a safe and efficient national road network which supports economic growth. Because obviously with so many Namibians dying, and I think in this case we had a lot of very young lives passing away, how are we achieving this and how is this impacting our country?
Yes, thank you very much. Our country is impacted in different ways. You are right in observing that those who are at the receiving end are those that are economically active and male for that matter. And these are the ones who can now afford to buy fast-moving cars, and then they end up killing themselves. Economically, we are affected because These people that we are losing on a daily basis, I think in terms of the figures that we have had here, 112 fatalities, those were economically active, excluding those that, every life that we lose is precious, and we should not lose people on the road. Because these technologies that we have in terms of vehicles, in terms of infrastructure, they were meant to improve the living conditions and not to become life-threatening facilities that we have.
So a lot of it has to do with attitude and mindsets.
Yes, if you look at, for example, the majority of these cases, the drivers of fatalities, single vehicle over 10, head-on collision, collision with pedestrians, those are the drivers of fatalities. And if you look, for example, when we talk about single vehicle over 10 and head-on collisions, it's overtaking at the wrong places. Single vehicle over 10 is speeding. You lose control in the process. So these are...
Because our road network is, as we know, in pretty good condition.
It's relatively good, yes. Yeah. These are attitude-related.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to bring you in, Deputy Commissioner Philander, and specifically speak to you about crime statistics. We've seen the NAMPOL launch a number of projects. We've heard about Project Omake, which is widely around the country present. But we also see that at the same time, the crime statistics number is seemingly just increasing. Can you tell us why?
Yes, Hilda, there can be various reasons for the increase of crime. I will mention a few, like unemployment and poverty, alcohol and drug abuse, which particularly would result into serious and violent crimes. The ignorance of the law on the side of individual community members also plays a role, where members of the public just simply do not comply with our laws. Development of our cities, our major towns in the country, also attract people from rural areas would want to come and seek for better living opportunities. And these are some of the factors that we consider when it comes to the rise of crime.
We'll obviously speak to how you're addressing them and how you're mitigating them at this stage. But I've picked up an interesting trend that the challenges faced with crime statistics in the country are similar to the ones that we faced when we talk about road accidents in the country. Attitudes, we talk about alcohol and drug abuse, and also to a certain extent ignorance of the law.
If you like, we talk about road security. And probably that's the linkage that we find ourselves in. The choices that we make, the inappropriate choices that we make, compromise on road security, and of course impacts on human life. And